Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Entry Point Hunting Podcast, your source for all the hints, tips, and tricks to help you make you more successful in the fields. My name is Drew Vincent, and my wonderful co-host.
I am Justina Lee Stoltz.
And today we are going to be speaking with James Springer about gearing up, hunt trips, one of my favorite areas. Very excited about it. Lots of information for you today.
And a little bit of information about our guest. James is 47 years old and he is a proud father of a young man who is 18 years old. James owns his own plumbing company with one other employee in the Peachland area and mainly works on residential housing, new builds, and renovations. He's lived in Peachland for 42 years and grew up hunting in the backcountry around the Okanagan and has hunted all over BC, from the border in the south to the border up north, and from Vancouver Island to Elkford, where the BC borders with Alberta. James has hunted almost all the species available to hunt in BC, with the exception of cougars, lynx, bobcats, Dall sheep, and a few subspecies of deer, but he's got everything else under the belt. James started hunting with his dad at a young age, tagging along, and he got his first animal, which was a black bear, when he was just 12 years old. And coincidentally, his son also shot his first buck when he was 12 years old. So it's a trend in the family. Over the years, James has turned into more of a selective hunter, and we will dive into what that means, but he still does just enjoy getting out and being out there for the hunt. So without further ado, let's meet our guest today. James, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I think to start off, we have to address the elephants in the room. You've got a little bit more of a background than I do here. If you could maybe just like share what you've got on the walls in our immediate vicinity, and you got any good stories behind them?
In the immediate vicinity, I've got a 7x6 mule deer that I took with archery equipment, 10.5-inch billy goat. I don't know behind my name, you probably can't see it, but there's a grizzly bear skull there. That's just in the immediate vicinity. A few more things around the house.
Yeah. Well, what's the story behind that goat? That is quite the wall mount.
Yeah, I got that a number of years ago now, actually, when I was 19. Talking about what to bring when you go hunting. This was a really interesting one. It's up by Revelstoke in the end of November. And if you know the Revelstoke area in November, there's a lot of snow. So mainly when you go goat hunting, you're climbing a mountain, and you have to be prepared to pack out what you're if you get anything, like cut it into pieces and pack it out. We ended up actually shooting 2 goats, and in order to get it out, we used snowshoes up the mountain. We drug a aluminum canoe halfway up the mountain, and we brought the goats down to the canoe just wrapped in tarps, because goats don't slide. Like if you shoot a deer in the snow, it slides nicely. A goat doesn't. The snow just packs in there. And so we just wrapped them in tarps and down the mountain, threw them in the canoe the rest of the way down the mountain, and then across the little river and to the truck. So
that's awesome.
So what to bring when you go hunting? You might want to bring
canoe.
Stuff that's appropriate for situation. So if I say to go goat hunting, to make sure you bring your snowshoes and a canoe and a couple tarps to get your animal off the mountain. You might think I'm crazy, but it works.
Yeah, canoe certainly has never been on my my hunting list, so that's a new addition. Can you get an inflatable canoe?
List. No, it's an aluminum canoe.
So, yeah, but can I use an inflatable canoe?
Oh, absolutely. Probably not that situation. Probably would have bought it.
True, yeah.
It's funny, when we dropped them off the taxidermist, I phoned him and said we got 2 goats, and we were going to sell the one. The guy didn't want to do a mount with it, and I wanted to do a life size. So he says, I'll leave the shop open and just drop them off and finish skinning them out in the morning. And he phones me in the morning and said, what's going on? He says, my shop's underwater. He says, and why are the 2 whole goats in my shop. He says, I've never had a whole goat. You brought me 2. So I told him the story. But of course, all that snow had melted. He had the heat on and
Oh no.
melted in the shop. So
I'm-
anyhow, yeah. So canoe up a mountain with snowshoes in November in the Revelstoke area. It can work.
This just sounds like a Red Bull sponsored event. Like I just picture you guys going down with a couple of goats. Someone's just running the rudder and trying to avoid some rocks. Like
Yeah.
people in Revy just kind of looking at you strange and exciting times.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was-
waiting for you to say that there was like a plumbing issue at the taxidermy shop, and so you got to also fix his plumbing through your company, and he, you know, traded you doing his goats or something.
No, that was before that. But yeah.
Oh,
Anyhow, so like I said, when you say what gear to bring, sometimes the gear you bring for doing one thing you can use for another thing. Like we brought the canoe to go across the river, and the snowshoes because we knew there was snow, just to get to the base of the mountain. Well, we ended up that makes a perfect track for a canoe to track down that snowshoe with in the snow. And when I was even a younger kid, we'd shot elk over in Elkford, and we'd just wrap them in tarps and drug them out on our snowshoes. So putting all that together added up to, we literally went up the mountain with tarps in our backpacks just to bring the goats out.
It's always one of those things if you don't know until you know. And yeah, I mean, I would have just thought that a goat would slide down. Now I don't know about you, Justina. A goat is on my like long-term bucket list, but I've heard like goats legit. Like if you're pulling goats out, that's no one's truck hunting goats.
no, I was.
No. Well,
Go ahead, James.
I said normally you can truck hunt a goat to see it, but after that, truck hunting's over.
Yeah, to see. I saw a goat the other day. I was driving between Summerland and Peachland, and there was this beautiful like white goat on the side of the highway. It's the first one I've ever seen in real life. And then I was chatting with some people on a hike the other day, and they were saying, yeah, you can go goat hunting, and you see them up on the hillside, and then you have to wait until they get up to go either feed or something else, right? Like you're not getting them while they're on the hillside, or they're just gonna fall and turn into a big mushy pile at the bottom.
Not necessarily.
I was waiting for that. I was like, no, you're going to disagree with me on that.
The closest I've shot a goat was 10 yards, and he was sleeping in his bed. So I hiked over the top of the mountain, dropped down, and I knew where they were, and snuck over, and oh, there it is. And I snuck up, and yeah, that's a billy. It was about a 9-inch billy, and popped him up 10 yards. So
you can do it.
Couldn't use the canoe. Yeah, you can't do it. Couldn't use the canoe in that situation. I had to pack it out. Had to pack that one out.
No kidding. Okay, well, since we're talking about goats so much, what's on the essential list? I mean, other than obviously a canoe and some tarps, what else would be key for people to know that if they want to go goat hunting, you must bring this type of gear?
That depends on where you're goat hunting. What time of year you're goat hunting, but plan on climbing a lot. Plan on getting into places that you can't get to the goats. You might see them, but you can't get to them. You might get cliffed out. Plan on climbing cliffs, so bring appropriate gear for climbing up a cliff. Just getting. You can climb a cliff, you can get up there, but you shoot the goat. Can you get it out? So you always got to think of that too.
Would you say a tarp is an essential to have on there, like tarp and ropes?
Ropes for sure. Tarp, not necessarily. That was a sort of a special case there was a lot of snow. We sort of.
So if you're hunting in winter, yeah.
No one's going to bring a tarp to bring a goat out. I've probably been the only person that's ever done that, to be honest with you. But you want a good pack. It worked out well. You want a good pack because they're not light. Goats are actually pretty good sized animal. There's a lot of meat and muscle on them. So even if you're boning it out, you're still going to have a lot of weight. And packing a deer off a mountain with a lot of weight is one thing, but packing a goat off a mountain is a totally different story. So you might want to bring someone, well, you for sure want to bring someone with you to help, even more than one person. Call a friend. But
friend.
The problem is when you're going goat hunting, usually for most of us, we're a long ways away from home. So you want to plan ahead with that call a friend person. The only time I've ever done a complete... Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
So the only time I've only done a complete backpack hunt, spent a week in the bush and brought an animal out by myself was down in the Ashenola sheep hunting. And that was tough. That was really tough because I had to bring the whole sheep out, the horns, the cape, everything, plus my tent and all that stuff by yourself.
Yeah, that's intense.
You thought about leaving it, didn't you?
And that wasn't as bad as some goat places I've hunted as far as steepness.
Yeah.
How long of a hunt are you typically going out for? Are you out for a week or kind of what's the setup, just so we can have that frame of reference?
Goat hunting, I've normally done on weekends around here, or tagged it onto a sheep hunt up north where I've gone for a week or 2 weeks. Shot a couple sheep up north or goats up north while I was sheep hunting.
So when you say that,
animal while you're hunting.
Yeah. When you say that, so if you're up on a sheep hunt, what gear are you taking? Is there any gear that is specific to that sheep hunt that you wouldn't necessarily take if you were just going for goat? And obviously you're tacking on goat while you're there because it's convenient. But what's the gear difference between sheep and goat, or are they pretty similar?
They are pretty similar. You want lightweight stuff if you can. I think you got to pack it up the mountain. I'm not going to bring my 20-pound target rifle on either of those hunts. But my lightweight hunting rifle, probably that's the one I'm going to grab. Generally, when I've gone sheep hunting, I've gone minimum a week. So you're bringing a lot of food, tents, how far back going in. The one thing, actually, I should go right back to the beginning. And the one thing back in the day we didn't have the option of bringing, and now I think is essential, is a satellite communicator of some sort. And I carry one of those even around the Okanagan.
What one do you have?
Even when I'm within cell range, I carry a Spot.
Yeah.
The one that I can send messages back and forth with. Simply, I've hunted in Okanagan Mountain Park and shot deer, and I mean I can see my house, but if I'm packing a deer out and I break my ankle, sprain my ankle, anything, I can phone someone.
Yeah.
But
or if you're just wandering around in the woods and it gets dark too fast and you get lost, you might want to call a friend, right?
Might want to call a friend.
That happened to me last year. I had to call James. I was like, James, are you still out hunting, man? Because I'm lost in the woods. He's like, where are you? I'm like, if I knew where I was, I wouldn't be calling you.
General area. But that Spot communicator will tell you someone exactly where you are. And to me, that's an absolute essential. And I think anyone in the outdoors anywhere should be carrying one. You have to have a subscription for it, but you can subscribe for the months that you're out hunting. I just run it year round because I'm out year round. But to me, that's an absolute essential. I had a friend a few years ago that just went off the road in his truck and was 20 kilometers from cell service. And he had to hike that 20 kilometers and make a phone call with a Spot. Just a quick send a message or someone will help him. So anyhow. getting back
That's
to
a really key point though. Just on like a year perspective, like I know Spot, Garmin, and Zoleo are kind of the dominant ones in that satellite communicator range. And when I was picking mine, I didn't honestly consider, I know it sounds silly, but I didn't consider having the little screen on it with the being able to track the mapping. I was looking more for, okay, you know, which one's going to have the best range and coverage and allow me to, you know, send my little SOS that's going to send my location out to somebody else. But in hindsight, had I been thinking about that, I would have much preferred to pick either the Garmin or the Spot because they have those little screens on them that you can see your own location. The Zoleo does not have that. So if people are looking,
to me, I know where I am.
considering those
I'm standing
things,
there.
well, when you're looking, you know, when you're trying to figure out where you are and you've just wandered into the bush for 6 hours and you're like, shit, every time I turn around, all these trees look real similar. It's sometimes nice to have that little map to look at and be like, okay, I need to go north more or whatever and figure out where I am.
It's the Okanagan search and rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple GPS can do that for you as well, though. So
yeah, true.
But then you end up with stuff, and that's the other thing is you can bring way too much stuff, way too much stuff. I remember I was on a sheep hunt one time, and it was August and hot. Not like up north right now. Those guys that are hunting up there right now are having it nice and cool. We ended up hiking in sandals and in our boxers, t-shirts, because we were doing so many river crossings, and it was super hot out, and we just, you know, threw our boots in our pack and off we went. But then I've also hunted in October up north sheep hunting, and then a totally different story. You can get snowed out, or you know, you have to deal with the different weather. So that's the other thing about what to bring, what time of year you're going, where you're going. Go to northern BC sheep hunt, you can have winter up there now, depending where you are, or you can have hot summer like we have right now. So you sort of got to be prepared for everything that you can, but don't bring too much. You can wear
that's
your
a fine
pants
balance.
one day in a row.
Yeah. What? You don't need a different pair of pants every day? Yeah. Underwear, you just flip it inside and out a couple times, right?
That's right. And then it turns into a hat after
4 times. Oh, you're so gross. Dudes are so gross. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Drew, you are muted right now.
You get merino wool. It's hypoallergenic. It's all the things. Give it a good rinse every once in a while. The river crossings pretty much take care of everything. So you're good.
River. If there's water, you're all right. You're all right. But you dudes changing wearing your underwear for 4 days in a row, just flipping it around is a whole nother story. James,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, one Canadian, river crossing. Yeah, the one river crossing we did, we crossed the Toad River and hiked way up into the other side, and we were up above our waist, and it's a pretty big river. And they shot a sheep up there, and we'd hiked out in the dark. So a flashlight is another thing to bring. Learning from experience, or a headlight or something.
Headlamp.
Once again, this is headlamp something. We weren't planning on being out that long. We just were going to go for a day hike and ended up shooting a sheep and hiking out in the dark, and then had to cross back across that river in the dark. And it's about 100 yards across where we were crossing. So a headlamp, another thing on the essential list of what to bring.
Yeah, I know. I generally I learned this from a buddy of mine that kind of taught me a lot, but it's like my bino harness, and in there I've got like a small headlamp, my tags. It's like if I have to ditch everything, what is the minimum stuff that I just like will need to have on me? My hunting tags I don't actually ever need to carry because, you know, I don't have a risk of clipping those generally, but yeah, like just I had the same thing where it was dusk, we were trying to chase something, and we got in pretty deep, and it's like, okay, shooting light's gone, and we start making our way back, and then realizing like, oh man, I did some rock faces coming out here, and without light this is getting a bit sketchy, so I keep one of those on all the time now.
Yeah, I feel like a headlamp and some dry fire starter in the rare occasion that you get to spend the night out in the woods when you didn't plan on it.
And I've done that too. Done that too.
Yeah.
On that same hunt, we'd hiked up a valley for a week, my hunting partner and I, and we got too far away from our tent. So we realized, and we had our lights and stuff at that time, but we thought it'd be better to make camp here and spend the night rather than hiking back the, 15, 20 kilometers to our tent. So let's just buckle down for the night. Well, it was cold that night, and there's not much firewood up there. And pretty uncomfortable, and lots of grizzly bears wandering around. But yeah, that was an interesting trip. We got I shot a caribou, a goat, a sheep. My partner got a goat, and we were up there with my dad, and they got a moose. So it's a good trip.
Oh wow,
That's an incredible trip.
no kidding. Wow. Okay, on that line, what is your favorite thing to hunt if you had your choice?
I like hunting big mule deer, but I like sheep hunting a lot. And I think the reason I like sheep hunting is just where you get to. My first sheep hunt I ever went on, I was young and dumb, didn't know anything about sheep hunting. Told go up there and go sheep hunting, and couldn't get anyone to go with me. And sorry, I got to go to another story here. My uncle had a kid from Argentina that was like doing like visiting Canada or whatever. I don't know what the deal was.
An exchange or something.
And he was an exchange or whatever it was. And he was coming to the Okanagan and was looking for something to do for a week. So my uncle says, do you want to go on this sheep hunt? So sure. Now, he didn't speak English, and I didn't speak Spanish or whatever they speak in Argentina. I think it's Spanish. So communication was tough. So I drove straight north 22 hours without stopping. Got out of the truck, said, here's your pack. I gave him a 22. So there's your gun, showed him how to use it. And we spent a week in the bush sheep hunting. And I didn't shoot one. I could have and should have shot the one that was, there's a bigger one on top of the mountain. I should have shot the one down below because it was pretty big too. What an experience. And just getting up there. And I mean, that kid from Argentina, his brother came up a couple years later and they asked, well, what do you want to do? Well, he wanted to do that. That doesn't just happen.
That's crazy. Was that like, I mean, did you guys obviously figure out some way to communicate? Because otherwise that's a real quiet trip for a whole week.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Get hungry, like
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was interesting.
Well, it must have been good for him because if his brother's coming up, he obviously had a good time.
Oh yeah, and then what do you want to do? Well, he really wanted to do what his brother did. Well, sorry, we don't just do that every week. It's not like.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at, I've kind of broken down when we were looking at talking about gear and talking about the different pieces. There's kind of like 4 categories that I wrote. One is like kind of the hike in. You've chosen your spot. How deep are you going to go? What are you going to grab? Then there's the hunt, the kill, and processing and stuff, and then actually hiking it out. So, what are you bringing? Like, are you really? I mean, it's changing by year, but maybe to start off, what's your favorite gear? Like, what are the things that are the must-have, no matter what? Every hunt, these are coming with you, and then we can get a bit more specific from there.
Every single hunt, I bring a rifle, my tags, obviously. I've switched to range finding binoculars, so I only have to carry one thing, and a Havalon knife, and that's it. Because I will add to that, but I won't subtract from that.
Yep.
If I'm just running up in the bush behind my house for evening hunt, that's all I'll take. That's all I need. If I get something, I may have to go figure out how I'm going to get it out later. But sometimes the minimal stuff is better. That deer behind me there, that's all I had. I had a crossbow with me. I had a job canceled in the middle of the day, and I had another one in the afternoon, and I had a couple hours to kill. And I went and shot that.
Nice. That's what's going to happen for me this year.
On.
For sure.
With my work clothes on. I didn't have any of my expensive camo gear, or I had my work boots on. I had a set of binoculars and a knife and my bow, and that was it. And I mean, you can gear up a lot, but really you don't need it.
Yeah.
Honestly, you don't need it.
Yeah. How often are you... Go ahead.
Once again, depends on what you're doing. If I'm going out for the day, I'm obviously going to bring more than that. And a lot of times I do bring more than that, knowing I'm not going to need more than that. So if I'm on my quad, sometimes I'll bring 3 guns. One for shooting chickens,
I've seen that.
One for going for a hike, and one just in case I want to shoot something a little more distance.
Yeah. When you are... Dang, I had a question. It was a good one too, and I don't remember now.
The multi-guns one, the multiple guns one stresses me out so much, because I love trying to go get some chicken while we're out there, and small game and things like that. When you put a 270 or something through it, it tends to leave a bit of a cloud, unless you get a good headshot on it. But the multi-guns one's always a big stressor. How often are you bringing a second gun in? Like, if you're doing those big backpack trips, are you bringing a 22 with someone to try and get some small game while you're out? No.
I brought it with that guy from Argentina because he couldn't shoot anything anyhow. I thought if we ran into some ptarmigan, at least had a 22, and it made him feel better because he had a gun.
You're in grizzly country, probably.
Yeah, but if I'm doing a big backpack trip, no, not just bringing my rifle. And I have shot the one in the Ashnole. I got away from my tent again. Tend to do that, but I knew there was a cabin in this other valley, so I'd hiked down into this valley. And I was going to find the cabin and spend the night there, and ran into a couple grouse, and I just headshot them with my 300 Magnum and had dinner that night, and spent the night in the cabin and hiked back to I shot sheep on the way back to the tent the next day.
How often? Okay, this is just to wind back, like you getting animals every time you go out hunting. Like, how often are you getting a shot on something when you go out? Like, what's your ratio here?
Not that much, really. I let a lot of stuff.
That's the right answer. That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that my odds are pretty good.
I'm a selective hunter. I've shot lots of little deer over my hunting career, and I highly encourage people, if that's what you want to shoot, go ahead, fly at it. I don't need the meat for the most part. So if I'm out hunting October 1st and I see a 2-point mule deer and I shoot it, that ends my hunting season. And I don't really want to end it that early, to be perfectly honest with you. I like hunting big mule deer. So I just like doing it.
I wanted to come back to that.
Fun to hunt. They're and so I'll let a lot of things go.
You are a selective hunter, and you told me that the first time I met you out in the woods. And that was last year during my first hunting season, and damn, I would have shot any little spiker that I saw that I could have. And you had told me that day that I met, you're like, oh yeah, I just seen a bunch of like 4.5 point bucks over on the hillside over there. Yeah, they look great. And I was like, James, save them for me. Well, what does that mean when you say that you are a selective hunter now? Like you've done your fair share of little game. What is a big buck to you? What are you actually hunting these days?
Stuff like the one behind me.
So you're going like 6-point or higher?
Something I like. No, if I like the looks of it. Different things though. If I'm moose hunting, I'll probably shoot a legal bull moose. Because I'll split that up with a bunch of people, and my dad and my family and whoever's hunting with us.
Because they're damn hard to find.
Well, no, depending on where you are. But for me, hunting deer, for hunting mule deer, I'm selective. I should say I'm selective on certain animals, unless if I go on a sheep hunt. I mean, they have to be a full curl, like a thin horn or a stone sheep. It has to be full curl anyhow. So now I've shot 2 stone sheep. Be selective, maybe not. Depends if I've shot a smaller one and a big one. So I don't know. But
now, you said full curl there. Can you describe for people that may not know what a full curl looks like, or how to identify that?
With thin horn sheep, one horn has to break the bridge of the nose, so it has to come around and break the bridge of the nose, or be 8 years old. Counting the annuli or the rings on the rings on the sheep is really hard to do unless you really know what you're doing. The one I shot, the first stone sheep I shot did both. It broke and we aged it out, even the taxidermist and I, at 9.5 years old. Now you have to take them in to get CI'd or inspected, and the gentleman doing that aged it at 8. So somehow we missed 1.5 years between the official inspection and what we had aged it at. So, and you can't argue with the official inspection, but it broke the bridge of the nose anyhow, and it was 8 years old. We just aged it an extra 1.5 years on that. But, so, like I said, you can get false annuli, and you have to really, really, really look at them and know what you're doing to shoot a sheep on age.
Yeah, probably safer to go on the other criteria.
Yeah, the funny thing is the smaller sheep I shot after that way broke the bridge of the nose. Obviously, the bigger one just barely broke it, but it did break it, and we could tell it did before I shot it. But the smaller one was obvious, and it was smaller and younger. It just that's a genetics thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, on sheep hunting, you guys are both fairly new hunters, right?
Yep.
Like, I know, just you're fairly new. You've been
wet behind the ears for one season officially.
One season.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't go try these other animals to hunt. And I highly encourage people that are getting into it, especially when you're younger, to go do these things. If you have time, it's experience that when you get older and life catches up to you and you're busy all the time, it's hard to get away for a week and go do them. You look back and say, man, I'm glad I did that. So just because you're a new hunter doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. Yeah, do it while you can. It doesn't mean you have to have 10, 15 years experience before you head out on a sheep hunt or a goat hunt or go. I don't even know if we can shoot caribou anymore, but or an elk hunt, anything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Bugling, calling elk in is another one of the most exhilarating thing you can do. When you got a bull bugling back and forth and you call it in and it comes out of the bush, and that's an amazing thing to do too.
Yeah, so let's talk about elk hunt for a little bit, because I'm pretty pumped to be going on an elk hunt this fall. What are the essential things that I should be taking or considering when going on an elk hunt, other than a rifle?
Well, where are you going? Where are you going?
To the
Here's the first
Kootenays.
question.
To the Kootenays.
Which
Okay. Is
specific
there road closure?
What spot are you going
Yeah.
to?
Well, no. The next question is pretty valid, actually. Is there road closures in the area?
I have no
Because
idea.
a lot of those
Have not
areas
gone that
have
far.
road closures.
I'm going off of somebody's off of somebody's backyard, like their private property. So
Okay.
I doubt it. I'm
No,
gonna be
you're not
walking
probably-
into the woods.
Okay. But a lot of those places in the Kootenays have road closures, and you can't drive your truck or your quad or your ATV down them. So
Yeah.
if you got a quad and an ATV, that's great, but you can't use it on that hunt. So sometimes on a hunt like that, you bring a bicycle.
A bicycle,
with a little
like a
trailer or
pedal
something.
bike?
Like a pedal bike with a little trailer
Okay.
behind it.
With a trailer behind
to
it.
get your elk out.
Holy. Okay.
Yeah. I've known people that have done that. So there's road closure areas, but you can ride a bike down the roads, get into
Yeah.
the country, back in there. Just one of those things. So what are you going?
Okay, well let's
you're going in the
assume that
fall.
I am walking in. I'm going in September.
Okay.
Let's assume that I am walking into the woods because there ain't no damn way that I'm gonna have a bicycle and a trailer ready for the fall. So let's just assume that I am walking. What am I taking on my
Okay.
back with me?
Are you going what time? Are you going early September?
Late September.
Okay. Probably not bugling late September. But
Why? Sorry, I don't know
and elk
anything.
in the Kootenay.
Tell me why. When do you bugle for elk and when do you not?
Peak rut is early September
Mm.
when you can bugle them in. You might get some answers. The Kootenays can be tough for that because a lot of people hunt them. But cow talk might be a wise thing to bring.
What is
So
that?
if
What
you
does that
get
mean?
in it's a cow call. So
Oh, okay.
So
The
you
mew?
can mimic the sound of a cow elk,
Hmm.
like a mew. Like I've done it literally with a reed of grass, like that.
Yep.
And it works too, but you may as well just get a proper one.
Okay.
Because sometimes they'll know you're there and they can hear you if you're in some thick stuff, but you blow the cow call and they it's just a cow elk.
Hmm.
So yeah, you want a good pack.
Mm-hmm.
Be prepared to pack something out. Your good boots.
Now you said
Your
going
binoculars.
into thick stuff. So am I going into like more wet marshy areas? Am I going through general woods? Like what's the terrain that I'm
I have
stomping
no
on?
idea.
Well,
I
where
have
do you
no
find
idea.
elk?
You could be in all of it. You could be in all of it. No, elk.
Okay.
The beautiful picture of the elk on the open hillside
Yeah.
is a beautiful picture.
And that's all
A
it
lot
is.
of times they're not there.
Oh, perfect.
You
Why
have to
don't
go
they
to
stand out in
bush
the
and
open?
thick
It
stuff.
makes it so much harder.
Yeah, it's much better when they just like broadside on with a nice like hill backdrop. And,
Like a
yeah.
skyline themselves.
No, I don't want a
just-
skyline because then I can't shoot
Yeah.
it. I want them on with a little backdrop.
So yeah, you might be
Okay,
in the
so
thick
good
stuff.
boots, a pack that I can carry out on obviously my binos and a rifle. Not
Yeah.
necessarily bugling stuff, maybe a cow call. Okay.
No, it's not a bad idea to learn how to bugle, and it's not hard. Just get one and try it. Watch some videos on it and mimic the call. But not necessarily bugle for a late September hunt.
Mm. What kind of
no,
gun
I'm
would you
no
take?
elk hunting expert.
Oh, okay.
Good. What kind of gun would I take?
Yeah.
I would take one of my 300. I would take one of my 300 magnums. Your
Okay.
your 308 will be just fine.
Perfect.
Now, talking about gun calibers, I've got a lot of them. And I started out when I was 14 with a 270. When I was 16, I bought my first 300 Magnum, and I've sort of used them my whole life. You don't need that to shoot everything. In BC, really, you don't. You're better off with something that you can accurately shoot.
Mhm. Now, when
So
you're shooting for elk or hunting for elk, what's your method? Are you spot and stock? Are you still hunting? What do you suggest? What do you do?
both. I do both.
Okay.
Spot and stock or still hunting can turn into spot and stock pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there it is. Now you're obviously spot and stalking. I mainly do still hunting, unless it starts out as there's something way over there. Let's go get closer to it.
Yeah.
But spot and stock and still hunting are almost the same thing, really.
Yeah, true.
In my mind, anyhow.
Yeah. You're still hunting until you spot and then you stalk. So, yeah, they're going hand in hand.
Yeah.
What kind of pack are you running?
I've got Eberly stock, 90-liter Eberly stock. I get a whole deer in there.
Wow.
Deboned, cape, rack, everything, plus my gear I'm carrying. I've got a smaller Sitka pack that I did it once with. And then I broke the straps on bringing it out because it was too heavy. Excuse me. I shot a grizzly bear. I just had a pack board. And that worked just fine too. Just back in the day, go to Canadian Tire or whatever, get a pack board and the camp trails or whatever it was. It took two of us to lift that thing and put it on my back and pack it out 10 kilometers through the bushwhacking through the bush. But a good pack board works to strap something on, just carry it out. A good pack that you can expand and put your meat in after if you're day hunting. Like you want your spot. Like I carry a spotting scope when I'm in certain areas, along with my binoculars, and a tripod and my lunch and game bags and all that sort of stuff. If I'm going, let's say, into Okanagan Mountain Park and hiking for the day, I'm prepared to debone and bring that thing out.
What kind of knife do you use for deboning? Obviously, don't say a deboning knife. What brand?
I think you're saying Avalon, right?
Havilon. I use a Havilon. I've actually got a Gerber that's basically the Havilon as well. Just using that blade. I've done it with, believe it or not, before you could go get Havilons. I was trying to figure out, I want to keep my knife sharp. I did it with like a carpenter's knife, the ones the blades come out and you snap them off.
Oh wow!
I've done a whole deer with one of those.
Jeez.
And it worked great.
Well, yeah, you can just keep snapping your blades off.
Yeah, or just take it out and put a new blade in. I mean, you can carry 10 blades in there, and pretty light, and it actually worked. I've got some other knives too, but generally you can do everything with a Havilon. If you want to, sometimes you want a little bit more stout of a knife for getting in and cutting, in between bones and usually taking the head off or whatever.
Yeah. And what are you running for glass? Like, what are you running for binos and for your scope?
Right now, I've got the SIG Kilo 10,000s for the binoculars.
Oh wow!
They're range finding binoculars. Between them and I've got a pair of Vortex Fury 5,000s with applied ballistics in them. One of those two I'll run for hunting. And for glass for scopes, generally I'm running Night Force optics.
Do you use that also for your spotting scope if you're taking one?
No, I've got a Vortex Razor spotting scope.
So how are you bringing the spotting scope on like most of your hunts? Like I know the Okanagan, there's some areas that really are beneficial to have it, and a ton that it's complete waste, or I guess BC in general. But how often are you bringing that out? Because it's kind of the one thing that's been on my super expensive shopping list that I have trouble diving into that one. But I know people that have them seem to love them.
To me, it's a must-have for the way I hunt. Depending on where I'm hunting again. If I'm doing that quick hunt behind the house, it's not coming with me. If I'm going across into the Okanagan Mountain Park where I want to scan a huge area and I'm looking for that deer bedded down in behind that bush, I want it. If you're sheep hunting or goat hunting, you want it. Because you're going to want to, like with sheep, you have to age them, they have to make the proper curl and all that sort of stuff. And for me, I like to a lot of times I'll spot something at a kilometer away or more, and then I have to make a decision: do I want to go get it or not? Like if I'm out on my quad, I always have it with me, and I'll spot deer all over the place. I've had people drive by. See anything? No. You see anything? No. And my spotting scope's looking at deer across the valley. Like if they look through my spotting scope, there's a moose or a deer in it.
They're just asking you the wrong question. See anything you want to shoot? Is the question. That's what I've learned from seeing James. I'm like, James, is there anything I want to shoot that you've seen today?
Yeah. So, and a lot of times, I'll be hunting the same spot as someone. They'll walk up to me and I'm sitting there looking over across the valley at something. And if you see anything, I saw 2 does, that's what they'll tell me. And I mean, I've seen 30 deer and I'm right from where I'm sitting. And it's just time and glass and looking and what's that and getting a closer look at it. Sometimes running that spotting scope and having, oh, that's actually an antler sticking up behind that bush. That's not a stick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Often confused.
Those and bear stumps just drive me insane.
Yeah.
I was bear hunting this spring, and there's a lot of bear stumps, but we did see a lot of bears. Just couldn't get to them.
A quick question to back up. Game bags was a real mystery when I first got into it, and there's synthetic, there's reusable, and what are they for? Could you? I don't know
many?
if what are you bringing, and could you talk a little bit about kind of the importance? It seemed like an optional thing when I first started, and then after watching and learning more, it doesn't seem as optional anymore.
And yeah, it is optional. Unless you want to keep your meat clean. See, a lot of times it depends on
my meat clean.
Once again, how I'm hunting depends on whether I'm bringing them even or not. If I'm going somewhere where I'm just going to drag the deer out, throw it in my truck hole, and skin it when I get home, I don't need game bags. Mm-hmm. If I'm going on a backpack hunt, where I know if I shoot something, I've got to skin it out, debone it, or whatever, then I know I need game bags. If we're up moose hunting, generally we'll bring game bags, even if we're going to skin it out at camp, because just to bring it home in the back of the truck, it just keeps the meat cleaner.
Yeah. And are you using synthetic or fabric or reusable?
I've just used fabric. I've actually just looking at some synthetic ones the other day, which I might grab a set. I haven't gone to that yet. Like basically cheesecloth is what we've always used in the over the years. Cheesecloth, game bags, whatever.
Yeah.
And are you taking like 40 game bags with you, or like how cut up are you making your
It just has
animal?
a tarp of game bag.
Yeah. Like how
No,
small are you
no.
processing down to put it into a game bag to bring home?
You can put multiple pieces of meat in one game bag,
Right.
or 4/4 of an animal.
Mm-hmm.
So that means 4 bags per animal.
Yeah.
Basically.
So you're typically just quartering and then bringing it home.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm somewhere where I'm backpacking it out, I'm deboning it.
Right.
But as you debone it, you throw it in the game bag.
Mm-hmm.
That way, it's not sitting on the ground, getting all covered in dirt.
Yeah. This might seem like a dumb question, but when you're deboning game, assuming it's a larger game animal, like, are you deboning just a quarter and putting it in, or like when you're deboning it, are you actually ending up cutting up the animal much more into smaller pieces?
No, well, much more into smaller pieces.
Okay.
Like if I am somewhere where I've got a 2-hour backpack or more out, I'm not bringing any bone out, or very little.
Mm-hmm.
So like all the rib meat. Now we have to take, with the laws we have now, we have to take all the rib meat and everything out. So, but I'm not taking the bones, the ribs. I'm just cutting the meat off of it.
Okay.
Even the quarters, it doesn't take long to break that down to just meat.
And is there?
Butchers don't like it much, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I know the technical answer to this, but like, is there a proper way to debone your meat, or are you just like hacking through to get all of the bones out of there? Because I'm
there
like,
is a
if I
proper
ever
way to
got
do
something and I had to debone it in the woods, I have no idea how to do that. Do I just need to watch a million YouTube videos?
I've got it downloaded
it.
on my phone for emergency use. I haven't had to use it very much, but
Yeah, there is a proper way to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to just hack it and hack because what is that piece of meat when it comes to processing it?
Right.
You know, that was a backstrap, but you cut it into 15 pieces. Well, why did you do that? Now we don't know what it is even.
Yeah. Yeah. So download that video. Got
so
it.
yeah,
On the list.
yeah.
now kind of 2 last questions for me. One, are you doing the gutless method for processing? Do you mix it up? What's your preferred?
I've done the gutless method a few times. I actually do like it. I've done it both ways. It takes about 5 minutes to get rid of the guts if you're really honest about it. So,
Unless you're a new hunter, because the biggest terror I had the first year was just like, yeah, I could have been using tweezers to get through this thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna touch it and it's just gonna explode everywhere. Yeah, there's a bit more grace.
Yeah, there. I mean, there is, but just get in there and do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why would you
I remember
not
my
take the guts
nephew.
out? Sorry to interrupt your story, but like, why would you not do gutless?
Why would you do, like, the gutless method is you don't gut the animal before you debone it.
Oh.
So you're not gutting it. Yeah.
Why?
It can make it easier because the whole animal's there.
Okay.
So you're not. So you've got the legs off and the back straps and the neck meat and everything off, and the guts are still intact in there.
Interesting.
So it can be quicker, but like I said, honestly, it takes, and cleaner because there's no blood or very little blood.
That's interesting.
I think we're
Sorry,
gonna have to do,
you were saying your nephew.
Oh yeah, it's my nephew. I remember I took him hunting and got him his first deer, and then he wanted to go hunting with me again because it was so easy. So took him, went and shot a second deer, and he was 14 at the time, and so shoots. He got him all lined up, put him on a set of sticks, and shot this little buck, and gets down there and he looks at me and I said, "Oh, got it." He says, well, I've only watched it one time. I said, yeah, but I told you last time to watch me do it because next time you're doing it. I said, don't worry, I'll walk you through it.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So
no
now he
kidding.
knows how to do it.
Yep. You have to learn somehow. Drew, did you have
Then I
another
made him drag
question?
it out.
I do have one more. I've got a dozen more, but I've got kind of one last to finish up my questions here for today. What would you say are some of the most overrated items or even brands for that matter? The things where you're going to waste weight or money or anything like that?
Cool.
For me, when I first got in, like I went and bought a jacket, got my camo jacket, went to Walmart, got it. It was like, I'm never going to be cold in this thing. It's the greatest, which I realized I don't like to sit and hunt. So I'm walking around, I'm just dripping sweat. I'm loud, I'm chafing. I'm like, they're the Walmart and Canadian Tire sections. Although I will give Canadian Tire credit, it does seem to be trending up. Walmart less so, but is there anything that you see, hunters either new or experienced of things that it's like, yeah, you know what, maybe a nice effort, but it's not really worth your energy?
I'm going to be a lot of times people go to Walmart and buy their camo. Now that stuff, really, you don't even need camo. To be 100% honest with you, I wear camo. I wear Sitka head to toe. I don't need camo. I just like it because it is comfortable. It lasts a long time. But you can waste a lot of money, and I've done it myself, buying cheap stuff. Sometimes if you do research, spend a little time figuring out what's decent stuff, and spend a few extra bucks and buy it once, it'll last for years. I remember my first pair of good boots I bought. They were $500. I thought, man, that's ridiculous. $500 for a pair of boots. That's crazy. And I retired those boots at 15 years. And really, I still have them. I just wanted a new set.
A new pair of $500 boots.
Yeah. Honestly, they're still good boots.
What kind of boots?
I went sheep hunting with those. Were Solomon Expedition boots. I like stiff soles on the boots. I went sheep hunting, and my friend had a pair of cheap boots, and he spent 2 days in the tent because of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would say my learning lesson from hiking, not from hunting, was good socks. Good socks are critical. Merino wool socks are absolutely essential. I went on a 5-day backpacking trip, and on the last day I thought, oh, nice pair of fresh cotton socks will just be so good for the hike out, and I'll be all good to go. And I put those on, and I had blisters within an hour. And so I had gone 4 days in my good merino wool socks and no problems. And I thought, yeah, I saved this last pair of fresh socks. And it was absolutely the worst idea ever. I had blisters for a week afterwards. So good socks is always key. Okay, we are into yeah.
Let's just follow up on that just for one quick thing. Is I bought a cheap scope one time, and it fogged up on a moose hunting trip. And I brought a spare gun, thank God. So I know it wasn't what people waste their money on. The question was, what do people waste their money on? And I sort of turned it the other way, is spend more money. But I really wasted my money on that cheap scope because I threw it out.
Yeah, and could have lost your moose.
Could have lost my whole moose hunt if I didn't have a spare gun with me.
Yeah, never cheap out on glass.
And that's with everything.
Yeah. We are into our last section here. We're going to wrap it up pretty quick. And so, James, we have a series of relatively rapid fire. Most of them are rapid. Some of them are slightly less rapid. So that's why they're relatively rapid fire questions. So don't take too much time to think about them. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. What is one thing you wish someone had told you when you were a new hunter? One piece of advice.
Oh, I don't remember when I was a new hunter. When I was a new hunter, I was so young.
I know one piece of
That's-
advice you
it's
gave
been so
me
long.
as a new hunter was just to get out there
Okay.
and keep doing it and put more miles on my boots and just be out there in the woods.
There you go.
That was advice you gave me. Okay, question number 2. What is one thing you should never do as a hunter in the woods?
And I've seen it. Look through your scope and use it as a set of binoculars. I've seen people do it. You shouldn't do that. Get a pair of binoculars.
Yeah, definitely. Who is one person that you look up to in the hunting and conservation world?
I mean, I don't know. I'm going to say my dad.
Nice. That's awesome.
He's done a lot in that.
Nice. What is, we already know this. What is the first animal you ever got? Was it actually a black bear or did you shoot like a grouse or a rabbit before that?
No, it was a black bear.
It was
a black
okay.
bear.
Nice. That's
I missed
pretty...
I missed the grouse that morning with and shot a black bear that afternoon. So officially
pretty good upgrade.
It was the first animal.
Nice.
Bigger meal.
Yeah. What is your favorite hunting snack?
Little chocolate bars.
Yep.
It's a snack. It's not a meal.
No,
that's a common one. The
Yeah.
mini chocolate bars has come up more times than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
It's like Halloween cashing in on
Hey, you know
leftovers.
why it is? There's a reason for that. It's around Halloween, so you can get them, and you can throw a ton of them in your pack. So that's you just associate it with hunting.
Yeah. Do you wear double layer socks or one layer of socks?
One.
Okay. That says a lot. Do you have a lucky item for hunting? You have a little rabbit's foot you take with you. You got lucky underwear you're always wearing, a pair of good socks. That always happens.
No.
No lucky items. Okay. And what is the one, I think we kind of covered this a little bit, but what is the one absolute essential thing that you take on every hunt? If you could only have one item, what would you take?
Guns don't count.
Other than a rifle?
Yeah, other than a rifle. Other than
just
a rifle
wrestling
or a bow.
them down.
And other than a rifle and a knife, binoculars.
Yeah. Critical. That is it for rapid fire. You survived. Thank you very much for that. It was lovely to have you on and to chat about the different gear that you take for different hunts and to dive a little bit into those stories of what it takes to go on those different hunts, the areas and the places that you're going. So thank you for sharing those. Drew, did you have any last things?
No, it's always so wonderful to talk to people with this experience and the knowledge. Every time we pull some really big things that hopefully will improve our odds this fall. So really appreciate it. Thanks so much, James.
Not a problem.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. Thanks everybody for watching and listening wherever you are. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us everywhere that podcasts and video podcasts are found.
And if you have any comments or reviews, please drop them down below. We will get back to you, or you can reach us at questions@entrypointhunting.com.
And if you happen to know somebody who you'd recommend we talk to, whether they're an expert, an amateur, or growing in the sport, be sure to tag them in the comments or shoot us a message with their info.
And until next time, stay hungry.
Stay hungry.
Ta-da.
Always wonderful.
Stay hungry. Still there?
It sounds like we're a bit hungrier at the end of the hunts than you are, unfortunately. But that one where you just
wow.
Dude.
That is crazy.
that's
Damn it, my screen's frozen. There you go. Wow.
So
that was
that's a
back
Boone
when
and
grizzly
Crockett-
hunts
Boone
were
and Cro-
allowed?
Yeah, that's the Boone and Crockett grizzly bear there.
Wow.
Wow. How long ago was that, James? When did you hunt that?
I was 19.
Okay, so that's a while ago. Yeah, because like when were grizzlies banned from being hunted?
5
Oh, just a
years
couple
ago?
years ago.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
maybe that. And
Somewhere
that's
in
the
there.
goat that I brought out on the tarp.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's the goat I brought out on the tarp.
Yeah.
That's the bull one. That one there. It's another one from across the lake.
Wow.
And let's just go over this way. Little whitetail I got when I was over in Christian Valley.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That's my downstairs stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
I have to actually run. I was supposed to be on another call at 8. So I am going to
Not a
jet
problem.
out of this. But James, thank you so much. I'm sure I will run into you at Great North sometime very soon. We always seem to be there at the same time.
If you haven't got your gun figured out, hit me up and I'll take you out shooting.
I did. I got it sorted. Okay.
James, I'd love to grab you a beer sometime and hear more. You've got a wealth of experience and stories. It was really awesome. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Awesome.
Sounds
Well, thank
good.
you so much.
Thank you.
See ya.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good one, you guys. I don't know how to get out of here, but I'm sure there we go.
You can just close the window and
Talk to you later.
it'll boot you out. See ya. Do you want to quickly record something? 2 minutes, one shot
yeah.
wonder.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's
You
just
got
have
Nika
us
barking in the background.
Oh, is that picking up? Yeah, Olivia is here to pick up the cooler. So,
Oh yes.
is it noticeable in the back?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, that's exciting.
No, it's in the background. It's fine.
Yeah, she will walk in 1 second. Nika will looking at the cameras. I'll fucking pull up already. There we go. For fuck's sakes. Come on, Liv. Nika, shush. Come here. Come on inside. Go see. Okay, go see her. Go say hi. Go say hi.
What are you doing? How are you talking to your dog right now? Where is she? Oh,
It's
she's in the yard.
The cameras.
You can talk through your cameras?
Yeah.
And that's creepy. On Halloween, that would be terrifying.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Except Joe Rich. Nobody fucking come out. Liv, you can just call her over and she'll stop barking. I'll be down in a couple of minutes here. Oh, Liv's got her dogs there.
Mm.
This is the excitement.
Nice yard.
Oh, yeah, we got to have you up now that we redid the whole thing.
Yeah, no kidding. Looking dead.
Oh, man,
Holy
I'm
grass.
doing everything I can to try and keep that alive right now. Not
Yeah.
being able, we didn't get...
Okay, I got to go.
All right, yep,
We're
so we
really
can
doing
record
this
this
or
now.
not?
She stopped barking.
Okay.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
That's
So
fine.
yeah,
That's
just
fine.
gonna... Please join us for...
Jesus.
Okay. You're good? Okay. Yeah. All right. Very excited to have James Springer on today. We had a wide-ranging conversation. Kind of dove in towards the gear side of things, but really some great stories, some technical challenges, really made the communication a little challenging, but hopefully have him on for some future ones. Justina, what was your favorite pieces from this one?
I think this episode was packed with a lot of really good stories. So if you are looking to jump into sheep hunting, goat hunting, elk hunting, any of that kind of stuff, there is a ton of information in here about what gear you should be taking and what considerations you should be making when you are planning those types of hunts.
Yeah, and when you catch the note about him and what he pulled out on one of his hunts with his group, it'll make us all aspire to be much better hunters. So, with that, please enjoy the podcast, and we will chat to you next time. How do you like that? Good enough?
Yeah, that works. That's
Okay.
definitely good.
Yeah. So I'll just
Yay.
move that to the front and cue it up.
Yay.
All right. Have a good meeting. Thank you so much,
Thank
Christina.
you. Bye.
Yeah.